Yes, indeed, guys. Welcome back to the channel. It's Jay Jordan here, and it's the morning after the night before the Liberty versus Aces game in downtown Brooklyn. The Liberty beat the Aces with a final score of 94-85, evening the season series at 2-2 in the regular season. We can't count the Commissioner's Cup, but if you want to take in the season in its totality, the amount of games the teams have played against each other this season, the Liberty have beat the Aces 3-2. As usual, guys, I'm going to go over the quarters, the box score, and the team stats, the press conference, and then I'll finish off with my thoughts. So if you could like the video, if you like this content, hit subscribe. So you're subscribed to all the things I put on the channel, and hit that noti bell so you get notified anytime I post. Well, this was our first home game in a while. We haven't had a home game since like 2-3 weeks. It felt like the Liberty have been on the road. They played the Commissioner's Cup in Vegas, then they played the Aces in Vegas, played the Mercury, and had a nice little break off, but still had to go on the road the following Thursday and play in Connecticut. And then they played Minnesota on Saturday. So they've been on the road, even though there was a time they were able to come back home, but they haven't played in front of the home fans in a little bit. So it was good to see the Liberty in person for the first time in a while. To start off the game, the starters were our usual. We had Courtney Vandersloot, Sabrina Ionescu, Benijah Laney, Breanna Stewart, and Jonquel Jones. For the Aces, they had the same starters we've been playing against this whole month. Chelsea Gray, Kelsey Plum, Jackie Young, Asia Wilson, and Kia Stokes. Well, as expected, packed crowd. The energy was on fire to start. They even opened up the higher upper bowls so that they can fit more fans. And I think it was around 11,600 plus fans. I think that's the highest this season so far. A bunch of stars in the building. People, they were giving out these bucket hats. As you see, I'm rocking the bucket hat that they gave out at the game, added to the collection. So it was very good to see. To start the first quarter, the Liberty started off pretty sluggish. We were shooting a lot of threes. The Aces were comfortable giving up threes to Breanna Stewart, Vandersloot, Benijah. Whoever wanted to shoot threes, they were comfortable giving it up, and we really struggled from three early. It was a little bit of a tough start. We went down 16-7. Sandy Brondello called a timeout, and then we started to regroup. After the regroup, we took over. Sabrina really carried us in that regroup. We started scoring a lot. Our defense was on fire in that first quarter. Throughout the whole game, but in particular that first quarter, we got like 3 stops in a row. We were turning them over, getting down, and then once we finally started getting points in the paint, things started to change for us. Things really started to change. We finished that quarter leading 22-19. So they only scored 3 points the rest of that quarter. That was around the 4-minute mark. They only scored 3 points, and we went on to outscore them. The second quarter was more the same, but the threes started falling. Defense was still humming about. They were fouling a lot. They were calling a lot of fouls on the Aces, so we were getting into the bonus very early in that second quarter and throughout the rest of the game. We were scoring. Defense was playing hard. Benijah was all over the place. She was guarding Chelsea great. Then she was scoring. And then she was picking up full court. Stewie, her shot was still struggling, but she was getting into better positions. Jonquel, unfortunately, got into foul trouble, so she had to sit. Steph Dolson came in, gave some solid minutes, hit a 3, played some solid defense as best as she could. But we finished that quarter outscoring them 25-16. We were when I say we were, the defense was on it. I mean, Becky Hammond was talking about the team is tired, whatever. But listen, we can only play the team that's in front of us, and we did that. At the end of the second quarter, we were beating them 47 to 35 in that second quarter at halftime. Sabrina hit a big three with like 5 seconds left on the clock to end the half, and we were going into the locker room feeling good about ourselves. Feeling really good. Third quarter, the score was tied 23 to 23. Teams played pretty evenly. I didn't see any differentiating factors that said this team played outstandingly better. It was more of like trading baskets. We would get some stops, they would get some stops, and the game pretty much slow. I don't want to say slowed down, but it evened out. But the fourth quarter, it was a little chippy. I'm not gonna lie. The fourth quarter was chippy. Um, John Quell ended up getting a flagrant foul. Her and Kayla George got tangled up, and then she wrestled her arm away very aggressively. So they went to the monitor, gave her a flagrant foul for that. I think Chelsea Gray and some of the Aces players, after a play by Sabrina, they got into it. So the intensity was there. I mean, you've played a team 4 times in the span of 3 weeks. You expect some intensity, some bad blood to be there. I don't want to say they were mad at each other, but you've seen this team a lot. You guys are the super teams, quote unquote, and there's a lot of eyes on this game. Your team is losing, so there's some intensity there, and I love to see it. I can't lie, I love to see it. But otherwise, they outscored us 27 to 24. They made it a little interesting in that quarter. After we were up almost 20 in the third, going into the fourth, they cut it down to around 9 or 8. That was the closest they got, and we finished off the game winning 94 to 85. That makes the Liberty 28-7 overall. They're 13-4 at home. The Aces, they're 30-6, 14-5 on the road. This is their longest losing streak of the season, 2-game losing streak. They lost to Washington 2 days before, and now us. The Liberty are now, I think, 1.5 games back of first place. So there's a chance that we could still take first place off of the Aces. So hopefully we can do that. Let's take a look at the box score. We can take a quick look at it and make sure, see how the teams did on the stat sheet. So the Liberty win 94-85. I told you guys how the quarter scoring went. So just let's look at the actual stats here. So Asia Wilson for the Aces, 35 minutes, 23 points, 8 rebounds. She started off hot. She was hitting the jump shot. I was like, oh, it's going to be a long night. But she tapered off towards the end. 10 for 16, 4 blocks, 8 rebounds, 3 turnovers on her part. Kia Stokes, of course, she just there to rebound, and she didn't even do that well. 0 points, 4 rebounds in 12 minutes of play. Chelsea Gray, 37 minutes. Her shot, she really struggled from the floor. She was getting to the foul line, so that's where she got a majority of her points from. 16 points, 9 assists, 7 rebounds. Kelsey Plum, she really struggled. She fouled out the game. She hit the side of the backboard on 1 3. It wasn't a good night for her. 9 points, 3 assists, 3 steals, 6 fouls, 4 of 14 shooting. Jackie Young, their leading scorer for the night. She hit some threes towards the end that cut the lead down, back-to-back threes that cut it down to like a 9-point game. 24 points, 5 assists, 4 rebounds, 9 of 15 shooting. Alicia Clark, 7 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists. Kayla George, no points. Sydney Colson, she got extended minutes with Kelsey Plum being hurt, in foul trouble, excuse me. She had 2 threes, 6 points. And Kirsten Bell, 6 minutes, no points. For the Liberty, Benai Jelani, big night for her. They were really using her on the mismatches with Kelsey Plum. 17 points, 6 rebounds, playing solid defense. She had 3 turnovers, 5 of 10 shooting. Stewie, not a good shooting night, 9 for 23, but she still finished with 20 points and 12 rebounds, double for her. 7 assists to go with that as well, and 3 steals, 2 blocks. She just stuffed the stat sheet. She really just stuffed the stat sheet. For Jonquel Jones, not a good night with foul trouble affecting her. But 4 points, 10 rebounds, a block and a steal, 1 of 8 shooting, wasn't a really good offensive night for her, but she contributed on the defensive end. Courtney Vandersloot, double for her. She was getting to the layup, hitting some nice reverse layups, right hand, left hand. 17 points, 10 assists, 5 rebounds on 7 of 12 shooting. And Sabrina really carried us in that first half. 25 points, 2 rebounds, 2 assists, but 5 for 10 for 3, 8 for 14 from the field. Kayla Thornton, no points, played some solid defense. Steph Dolson, 3 points, hit that 3. Nice 3, got it from Vandersloot, hits a 3 at the top of the key. And Marine, 8 points, 3 of 3 from the field, 2 for 2 from 3-point range. He had a nice play on Sydney Colson, and I think it was the second quarter. She goes behind the back into a pull-up 3, and I think it was the third quarter actually. Behind the back to a pull-up 3 and cashes it out. Beautiful play that you'll see all over your socials. Niara, Hanshu, and Jocelyn did not play. So if we take a look at the season series as it shows here, New York wins it 3-2. This third, I think it was this second game. It was the third game is what the Commissioner's Cup game was. But all of these games haven't been particularly close. I think this last game was the closest game, a 9-point win. The rest have been double-digit blowouts. So it was nice to see a close game for once. Let's take a look at the team stats really quickly. Field goals. Asia shot almost 45%. Liberty shot 45.3%. They were 9 for 23 from 3. We were 10 for 33. That's 39% for them, 30% for us. Free throws are pretty even in attempts. They took 20, made 14. We took 19, made 16. So 84% for us, 70% for them. The rebounding battle, we out-rebounded them by 12, which is a good sign. Assists, we out-assisted them 24-21. We outstole them 8-5. Blocks, they outblocked us 6-3. I think Asia Wilson had like 4 of those blocks. Total turnovers, we did turn the ball over more than them, 13-11. The points off turnover battle was pretty even. Fast break points, we had 17. They had 13. Points in the paint, we outscored them by 8 points in the paint. They fouled us 23 times. We fouled 15. We had 1 flagrant, and our largest lead was 19. So that was the team box score and the team stats. As you can see, very balanced scoring effort from our starters besides John Quell. Everybody contributed in one way or another, whether it was hitting open shots, playing defense, assisting, rebounding, whatever it was to help the team. They really did that. We're going to take a quick look at the press conference. Very positive reception for everything that happened in the game. So we'll just take a quick look at that. It was funny. I'm going to show you now. The bucket hat that I have on right now, I guess they dared Coach Rondello to come into the game with it. So she came in to the press conference with on her hat, and she said, "Don't dare an Australian." But it was cool to see the team morale is very high right now. We're in the midst of a 4-game winning streak. So let's take a quick look at some of these quotes. Courtney Vandersloot said, question by classic J Powell, quote, the answer was, quote, the whole game, I felt pretty confident we had good control. After our slow start, we picked things up defensively and were scoring in transition. I think we had a really good grasp on the game the entire time, end quote. Sandy Brondello on the beginning of the game when they got a bunch of stops in a row, she says, quote, after that slow start, we had 6 kills, 3 consecutive stops in a row. That was a bit of a platform. These players, they want to win. They're self-accountable too, and that certainly helps, end quote. That it was apparent to see, even though the shot wasn't falling, once they got those stops, they got the confidence and it gave them time to get their offensive flow going. Sabrina Ionescu on success on drives. Quote, I'm just looking to score. Early on, I was driving, looking to pass, and realizing I was open too late, Now I'm understanding that if I can apply pressure, it opens up the floor for everyone, end quote. I have noticed that Sabrina, she's getting to the paint more often. She's not just sitting back settling for three. She's getting to the paint, finishing right hand, finishing left hand, throwing up a floater here and there. So it looks like they've emphasized that, and it's paying off in the end. Courtney Vandersloot on playing downhill after New York struggled from three early. Quote, just to attack closeouts, we could have had a lot of open threes, but early on, they weren't falling. I was able to just attack off some, and I wanted to be aggressive towards the rim and make plays, end quote. Like I said, she was only 2 for 6 from three, but she was pump faking, getting into the lane, putting up with the left, going with the right, reverse layups, scoops. She was doing a lot of that in that game. And whenever Courtney Vandersloot is aggressive and they have to pay attention to her scoring, it opens up her passing to others. Breanna Stewart says, quote, everyone wants to be great. Everyone makes sure that when we're in the gym or watching film, we're working hard. This is a job, and we want to make sure every time we're together, we're pushing towards our potential, end quote. And it really showed tonight. In reference to the record-breaking crowd of 11,615, she said, quote, they've been everything all season long. For us to come into this game knowing we'd have a sellout, that just makes us want to play for them. When we go on those runs and the crowd erupts, the building is electric, end quote. And when the building gets on fire, boy, that crowd gets loud. And you can see the players really feed off of that. They really feed off of that. Anything else? No, that was really it. I did want to point this out here about the Aces. One of the reporters reported the Aces are in the midst of their 11th game in 23 days. Really have to imagine the depth issues combined with fatigue are a major concern right now. Good news is there's a stretch ahead for Vegas to take a few days and rest up a bit. And beat reporter for the Liberty Miles says, this schedule is absolutely grueling for all the W's teams, and Las Vegas fought through the toughest part of theirs here lately. Just a few weeks back, the Liberty played 10 games across 19 days. I remember that pretty clearly. Their final game in that stretch, the 38-point victory over the Aces. So it's one of those things with the Aces. Their depth isn't where it needs to be due to injury. Candace Parker out. Rakana Williams with the off the court issue. So they're having to play their starters a lot more minutes. And with the season expanding to 40 games, I think it was 36 last year. And with they had to go to the White House this week and played Washington and whatnot. So every team has its stretch where they have a bunch of games congested in a matter of days. And you just have to fight through that. That's where depth comes into play. And the Liberty fought through it. I think we lost that back-to-back. We played we played one team. I think we played the Aces, and then we ended up losing to the Lynx or something like that. So it was one of those things where when you get to that part of the season, you have to rely on your bench to help limit the amount of minutes your starters get. And we did a very good job of weathering through that storm. And now there's only about, what are we? There's only a few games left, guys. The season's almost over. They're 28-7, so that makes it 35 games. There's only 5 games left. And I think 3 of those games are at home and 2 on the road. So we're going to have to finish off the season strong. We still have a chance. So you're saying there's a chance. We still have a chance to get that number 1 seed. We're only 1.5 games back of the Aces right now. With 5 games to go. If they go and play Washington and they lose to Washington, and we beat Connecticut, we can make up that 1.5 game pretty easily. As of now, let me show you one more thing before we go. As of now, these are the standings here. If the season ended today, the season ended today. 1 plays 8, so Las Vegas would be playing Los Angeles in the first round. The Liberty would be playing the Atlanta Dream, and the Connecticut Sun would be playing the Washington Mystics. And the Dallas Wings play the Minnesota Lynx. So that would be the the standings if the season ended today. I like that matchup against the Atlanta Dream. I'm not too worried about them. I would prefer to avoid the Washington Mystics in the first round if at all possible. All their pieces are coming back. They're a very defensive team. Elena is a very capable scorer. So is Brittany Sykes and them. So I really wouldn't want to play them in the first round. But listen, we can only control what we can control, and the chips fall where they may. I gave you some of my thoughts there as well, but overall from this game, very positive showing. There were some times where I thought we could have got even more points. There were some fast breaks where we blew the pass. We were missing some entry passes to Jonquel, either throwing it out of bounds or throwing it low so that she has to bend down to get it, and then that takes away her advantage. If there's a mismatch on her, we're throwing it towards the lower person. The lower person usually wins. So that's one thing I think we could correct. Closing out that game, we made it a little harder than we should have. Jackie Young walked into some wide open threes coming down the stretch. We got to clear that up. But overall, a win is a win. We beat the Aces for the third time this season overall. And so I can't really complain. Up next is the Connecticut Sun at home on Friday. As you might recall, we came back from a big deficit and beat them in overtime just last week. So I'm looking forward to us playing them at home, going for the season sweep on them at home. All right, guys, thanks for tuning in. I really appreciate you all tuning into this content. Liberty get the win. We're on 5 games left in the season. If you like this content, remember to like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit that noti bell so you get notified whenever I post. And I'll see you guys next time. Salute.